Why did you start this group and this idea that was buzzing around?
When you know that your struggles are not exclusive to you, it expands what you believe is possible.
Right, and just because there's a lack of evidence in the time doesn't mean that it's not there.
If you have to talk yourself into doing your job every day, you're doing the wrong job.
Yeah.
So as long as you're passionate about it, there's going to be days where
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talkin St. I am your host, Ryan Bogdan. Before we dive into today's guest, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Bogdan Homes. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, find our contact information in the description below. And now on to our amazing guest. We have Sandy Bean, the founder and CEO of St. Pete Girl Boss, which is an amazing community here in St. Pete. How many people are part of your network now?
right now we have just under 4,700.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's
That
pretty
is
exciting.
4 times bigger than what I thought.
It's growing every day. We have a queue still waiting to, and we don't accept everyone either because some people don't put their email address in or agree to the rules. So
Yes.
yeah, we have about a 30 or 40% decline rate because of that. So, but we have almost 5,000 women. It's so
Almost
exciting.
5,000 women entrepreneurs.
Yep, all business owners. of
And
all
are they
capacities.
all St. Pete or is this Greater Tampa Bay?
Greater Tampa Bay?
Okay.
We started out with primarily St. Pete, and it's just kind of expanded from there. People come from as far away as Lakeland.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had some people from Punta Gorda occasionally.
Whoa.
So all over the place, and people who are kind of bi-coastal that come and go. So we just welcome them all.
I love that. And you just started in 2022, correct?
Correct, in January, actually.
Wow. So what tremendous growth in a short amount of time.
Totally, and unexpectedly as well. The idea had been buzzing around in my mind for a while, and then, but you know how you're like, oh, who am I to start a networking group? Like, I'm not.
Yeah, so where did that come from? Why did you start this group and this idea that was buzzing around? How long did it buzz before it came to fruition?
For a while. So my background is in education.
Mhm.
I was an educator since 2004, and I have degrees in writing and curriculum instruction, and have taught fourth grade up through college. So setting cultures is always something I've loved to do. Right, just really making sure everybody feels seen and valued. I work a lot with gifted and neurodivergent children, so making sure that there's sort of a level playing field, and that connection piece has always been my strength. So when I moved to Florida, it was right before COVID. Post-COVID, I taught here for a year, and it's so different from where I came from in Ohio. It was just it wasn't the best fit. And so I said, okay, well, I still want to be involved in working with kids, but I don't want to do it like this. I need flexibility and freedom that being a public school teacher doesn't always furnish. So I started an enrichment center for gifted and neurodivergent students. And then I quickly realized that starting a business is hard. You need to know things about business, which I did not. So, and I also was really lonely because I was used to having, 120 kids every year and a whole work family and school and running the student council and the science Olympiad. And I was like sitting in my office, like talking to myself, which I do anyway, but I'm great company, but I'm used to myself. So I started getting out and doing some networking, right? And meeting entrepreneurs. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, here are my people. Like everybody that's crazy enough to start their own thing, we are a little unhinged because we can dream outside of the box, right?
Yes.
We don't necessarily believe in conventions, and we tend to be neurodivergent as well, like me. And so that connection, it was immediate, like, oh, I love this. And then my personal growth journey, I really wanted to connect with more women. And so I said to myself, well, is there like just a female only networking group? Like I just want to meet some women. And there wasn't one in the St. Pete area. So that was probably November when I really started having a high, maybe even the summer prior. And then I woke up in January, it was about 4:30 in the morning, and I was just laying in bed, like doom scrolling on my phone. And I thought, I'm just going to start it, like whatever. I quickly made a picture on Canva, started it. The name was even like ironic because that was the time on TikTok, there were all these videos of like men in wigs pretending to like be like, hey girl boss, you want an opportunity? Remember that? So it was supposed to be funny. I invited like the 4 women I knew, actually I think it was 5, that own businesses, and thought maybe we'll have a book club, why not? And that's just how I think I was at 1,000 by June of that year. Yeah, it grew really fast.
So it just was word of mouth, just steamrolled.
I've done no advertising. It's all,
just, hey, come join this. And so what was the first thing you did as a network? Was it a book club? What did you guys do? Because I know now you're doing coffees.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the time I had a friend, she owns The Merchant, and she said, well, you guys can have, her name's Jennifer Schultz. She was in the leadership at the start. And she said, well, why don't, if you guys want to meet, you can come to the coffee shop. So I think we had 10 people at our first coffee meeting. I remember how excited I was when the first person I didn't know joined the group on Facebook. I was like, yeah, we've arrived. Oh my God. It was so exciting. I'm like, all right. So we had coffee, and then our first actual event was, I think, a bouquet building workshop or something. And it slowly evolved because I get really excited about every new person I meet. It's like I'm just one of those people that's like, they're great. And people are like, look, he killed his family. I'm like, but he's so nice. That's me.
Yeah.
So
You see the good in everyone.
totally. It's
Yes.
it's crazy. And so I get really excited at the brilliance of every new person that comes through because I mean, it's incredible. The level of intelligence, the level of innovation just in our local community is absolutely incredible. And so we wanted to give people an avenue to learn from each other. So we started opening up the floor at coffee meetings and allowing our bosses to talk to each other, do little talks on whatever their expertise was and stuff. So that kind of evolved into doing workshops and things like that.
And so how often are these coffee meetings now?
They are twice a week, except the first week of the month. We have a Black Girl Boss Affinity group for our women of color. So they meet the first week of the month, and then we have 2 coffees a week for the last 3 weeks. We have a Tuesday evening and a Friday morning that we do.
Interesting. And so 4,000 people, how many people are coming to coffee?
On a typical night, we have about 40 on Tuesday nights and anywhere between 80 and 100 on Friday mornings.
Okay, got it. So the community of 4,000, how are they involved outside of then the coffee meetings? What other
We
things
have
are
a
going on?
pop in Facebook group. Our engagement is
Got
incredible.
it. So is that a place where people are coming to ask questions about how to start a business or issues that they're running into, or do you know anyone?
All of the above.
Okay,
All of the above. And one of the things that's so important and that I mindfully kind of designed the culture this way is entrepreneurs it's something like 50% of entrepreneurs have suffered some sort of mental health crisis in the past year. And one of the greatest protective factors for people that are in a position of vulnerability, that are having difficulties, is connection and community. And also, one of the things that solopreneurs and entrepreneurs don't have is exactly that. Like, there's only so much people that don't own their business around you want to hear about your business. And so a place where they can go and sort of commiserate is a protective factor for that. So there's a lot of what we do in the community is that kind of thing, celebrating wins. Hey, what are you struggling with right now? Those tend to be my posts. We had one where I had people tagging each other and giving them a non-appearance related compliment, authentic compliment. So we feel built up, but then there's tons of people that are like, oh, hey, I need this referral, and it's crazy the amount of content that goes through there in a day. And we have events every month, and it's crazy. We just did a wealth symposium at Shorecrest where we were educating women on what to do with their money.
And is this something that you're running now full time?
Yes, I also have another business.
Yes.
Yes, it quickly became its own thing. It's not just me, though. I have a leadership team.
Yes, that's fantastic. I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot of people and a lot of conversations to manage and planning of events and coordinating. And
it's amazing, though. It's so fun.
That's really cool. What's the largest event that you've had where all of them have come together?
I think our Friendsgiving, we've had a few where we've had 100, 150 people. But it's probably coffees, Friday mornings.
Yeah.
They pop off. People just love the Friday morning coffees. It's crazy. They love it. And they really like, and our workshops, it depends. Like, we have this one particular person that does, actually one of the leadership, Kimberly Clark, one of there's 3 leadership members, myself, Taylor Adams, and Kimberly Clark. Kimberly's a digital product specialist. And so her workshop was super popular. I think she had like 60 people where she taught people, it's called Build It Once, Profit Forever. So about digital products. People love, like, I did a manifestation challenge because I'm like into the woo stuff. And I think we had about 60 there. So it just depends. The cool thing is, though, it's not the same people every
week.
So,
well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's always new faces.
You have, someone can't make it, but someone new comes in. And do you select the same coffee shop, or are you hopping around town?
We've had to hop around a little bit because of our size. So once we started hitting about 60 on Friday mornings, we had to leave the original Chrysalip because it was too crowded. And then we went to the Chelsea, which is on the south side. And then now they're closed on Tuesday evening. So now we're at 7C Music and Coffee. Have you seen that place?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, it's so neat. It's really cool. It's right by Urban Stillhouse.
Okay.
And it's a couple from California, and the gentleman used to design high-end guitars, and his son is like an expert repairman and craftsman, and so they're so wonderful. And so tomorrow, the owner was like, you can come here on Tuesdays. So they really hook us up, and it's so beautiful. It's such a great place. So that's Tuesdays. Fridays, we started at the coffee shop, and then we went to Green Bench Brewing. And then from there, now we're at St. Pete City Theater. And we go there every Friday. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
that's great. So you guys are really connecting. And what would you say it's such a wide range of businesses, I'm sure, but is there a common theme of what people are looking for? Like what's the most obscure? I'm just trying to get a sense of out of who you have in the group. What are these women starting?
Gosh, there's so many different things. I would say we have a lot of coaches. and a lot of like people who are just business support services, essentially. We have a lot of marketing social media people. We only have one person that picks up dog poop professionally, but
Well,
her business is great. It's called Bye Bye Poo,
But-
and she will come to your house once a week and literally clean up your yard and like spray it so it smells good. Like brilliant, if you ask me.
That's in riches are in the niches.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah, yeah.
and she's really great too. I think we have like 2 movers, 2 human design specialists, which I love. There are definitely, we have a ton of realtors also. And the interesting thing, though, about our community is one of the things we work very, very hard. We don't allow self-promotion in the group. There's very specific rules, and people feel various ways about it, but we're pretty strict about it. And the reason for that is this idea of collaboration over competition. And we cultivate that at every coffee. We talk about collaboration. We talk about, making connections, because somebody can do the same thing you do, but they're not going to do it the way you do it.
Right.
So we have women in the same industry that are putting together events, all kinds of things where they're just reaching each other's audiences in really specific ways. And it just works out so well. We see exponential growth in the business of these women when they show up on a regular basis.
What would you say what is the contributing factor to that growth? Is it the support of the group? Is it a resource? Is it just the community? I mean, and I guess what's the best success story that you can then highlight?
Gosh, there are a few, I think. I'm thinking there's an insurance agent that I know who does, her name's Sherry, and she said, at one point she had all of her appointments she booked out for the next 2 weeks were either Girl Boss referrals or Girl Boss, and she was fully booked. So things like that, right? It's a very strong referral network. One of our bosses, Catherine Henry, she's an attorney. She likes to joke around that she doesn't have to go outside the group for anything. Her hairdresser, her mechanic, her lawyer, like everybody's in there. So if they post in the group they need this XYZ, they get referrals immediately. So that's super strong, the referral network. The other thing is we do a lot of hot seats. So I don't know if you've ever done like a mastermind course or, $10,000 where we all get to sit in a room and vibe on an idea.
Yep.
We do hot seats like that almost every week. So if someone has a business problem, they can, we had someone on Tuesday night. She's a luxury picnic. Her Picnic Chemistry, Jenna is her name. And she is getting ready to hire her first employees. And it was like, this is my baby. Like, it feels so vulnerable. And, you've got 30, 40 women in the room who have done this before and can offer that support and will say, hey, you know what, send me a DM. I've got a business plan. I can do this. Here's what I recommend. Here's my lawyer. And so it's that support and advice that's very much tailored towards them. And then there's just a sense of when you know that your struggles are not exclusive to you and you see proof visually or whatever that someone else has overcome this and they're on the other side, it expands what you believe is possible. So like manifestation from a neurological perspective is simply just like, do I believe this is possible for me? Okay, well then what are the steps I need to get to it? Or can I surrender and just let the inspiration come to me? And so just watching that, people are like, oh, well, shit, I was there. Like, I can do that.
And it doesn't have to be the grind of hard work. I'm reading, it's a very short read, a book called U Squared.
Yes.
Have you read it?
No, but I've heard it. I've
Okay,
seen it on
yeah,
Amazon. I see the title. What's it about?
It's so short, and the opening story is fascinating, and it talks about making quantum leaps in your life, in business or whatever, right? And that it doesn't have to be a grind of hard work. Hard work necessarily isn't going to get you further, right? And then so it tells a story in the beginning about a fly that's in this coffee shop trying to get out a window, and that the fly is going to fly against that window pane as hard as it can over and over and over again until it eventually dies on the windowsill. But if the fly were just to turn around 180 degrees, the door is open and it can effortlessly fly out the door. And when so many of us are doing that in life, we're going up against the window pane, trying harder and harder and harder to break through, when really maybe it's just a new strategy or thinking like you're saying, or surrounding yourself with the right people or a limiting belief. And we turn around and within 10 seconds, we're where we needed to go.
But so many people look at pivot as failure, I think, rather than growth. Like, I like to think about running your business as science and action, right? I mean, people thought the world was flat at one point, but then they had evidence to the contrary, and then they approached it from a different perspective. So when you're looking at your own business, it's like, if that's not working, do you just like, no, you have to take the new information you have and move forward with it. And so this is funny. We have a co-work we have a paid up-level membership where people can buy into the membership. And Tuesday and Thursday mornings, we have open co-work on Zoom. Thursdays, we usually have a discussion, and today we were talking about exactly this, is what happens when you get into that flow state. And we talked about how many people are just addicted to busyness. They think busy equals success, but they're doing a trade of their time for money that's just not sustainable or scalable. So how do you surrender, understand what's meant for you, and just trust, and then what happens next? And we know, like, magic happens, but you have to be willing to understand that the pivot is just part of the journey.
Yeah,
You know?
1,000%, and that it will take you further, right? And just because there's a lack of evidence in the time doesn't mean that that's not there.
Exactly. I have a post-it in my office that says, "My current situation does not dictate my final outcome."
Yeah.
I'm like, there it is.
Yes.
Because you just never, some of the wildest things are what pan out for you, where you have just an inspiration or whatever. And it's like, I mean, if you can get quiet enough to hear that instead of getting in your own way, like, you know,
Yes.
and understand your own system. And not, so many people are so good at so many things. But I think I tell my clients this all the time, just as a coach, like, which boat are you rowing? Let's get it to the shore. Can't have your feet in two boats and have actual faith in what you're doing.
Right.
You know, because otherwise they row in circles because one thing's not paying off and then you jump, and it's just all about, you know, understanding yourself and being able to hear your own intuition, which is hard.
It can be hard. And I noticed in your Instagram profile, you said coaching educator with ADHD.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk out there about how ADHD can be a superpower for those. And so how have you experienced that in your world? Because it can be like a double-edged sword.
100%. But, you know, I'm sure you've heard the cliche, like, if you wanted to teach a fish to ride a bicycle or to climb a tree, he would be an idiot, right? Because he obviously can't. So a lot of the things we look at as constricting are only that way because of the environment that we put them in, right? So as an educator, I saw some really amazing things happen when you just clear out the way and get rid of some of the BS and let kids do what they need to do. Like, some of my best writers didn't want to sit at a desk. Okay, cool, sit on the floor, like, whatever. So understanding what will bring you focus and peace is huge. But the ADHD brain, and by extension, so my specialty, just to back up slightly, was gifted children. And if you have an IQ that is 2 standard deviations above the mean, which is about 100. So if you're looking at like 128 or so, you begin to see, if you look at the images of these brains, is that they actually have a thicker corpus callosum, more gray matter, and the pruning process that happens between the age of 9 and the age of 20. You know how you build all your synapses up to about age 9? If you have a real rich environment, you have that, and then you sort of prune them back. What we're noticing is in people who are gifted, high IQ, ADHD, autism, the pruning process looks different. Right? So they're hyper-calibrated to certain things in certain places. And you see crossover behaviors through all 3 of those neurodiversities. And what you see, though, is maybe an autistic person who is like a super taster because they have that incredible sense. And they have such a love for that thing that they can throw themselves passionately into that. And that's a way that a neurotypical person would not do. Like, so as a person with ADHD, my ability to multitask and move very quickly from point A to point like H and be like, we're good. And I'm not risk averse in the slightest, which, you know, it's great though for being a leader. Like, it's a very maverick thing where I'm like, oh, we're going to try it. And if it all blows up, I guess it blows up. And so that's the beautiful thing about having that lack of impulse control. But once you understand your ADHD and you can work with it, you know, it gets a bad rap for being a life ruiner. And yes, it's tricky, but I think that there are systems and things you can put into place, and it just allows for greater access to creative thinking, which is what I've noticed from a lot of neurodivergent people, is they're divergent thinkers. And it's really amazing to see when you just remove the expectations of a neurotypical world from someone like that. They are not fettered by the solutions that society says that should exist, and they can just think outside the box in such incredible ways. It's amazing. And so, I mean, that's what I love to do. And that's why I see it with a lot of entrepreneurs, is just nurturing that and being like, why do you have to do it that way? Let's not.
Yeah, let's think differently.
Exactly.
And accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's not anything to be shameful. That's why I'm open about it. 2 of my kids are autistic. 2 of them have ADHD. I have 4 children. And I mean, I don't even know what a neurotypical person in my house would be like, what the hell is going on? And they'd be like, I don't know.
What a way to describe a neurotypical person.
Yeah, exactly. Versus neurosparkly people. So,
right.
Yeah, it is a superpower in some ways. I'm not going to say that the world's not designed for people like that. I think that's what makes it uncomfortable.
But entrepreneurship brings this level of creativity and ability to be allowed to do that it's okay.
It also brings a lack of structure, though, and that this is the part that I think a lot of neurodivergent we have to teach ourselves is it's okay to have structure. It's actually your safety net, because if you have structures and systems, and Kimberly was like integral to helping me really get through this one. If you have those systems and those structures and you internalize them, then the rest becomes easy, right? You don't find things falling apart. So I think that the flexibility and freedom of entrepreneurship also allows you to not do the thing. And you have to do the thing, whether it's inspired action or just you're just showing up and being consistent. I think if there's something that neurodivergent people maybe would struggle with, it would be that. But what I tell them is if you're working in a passionate area, you shouldn't have to, if you have to talk yourself into doing your job every day, you're doing the wrong job.
Yeah.
So as long as you're passionate about it, there's going to be days where you're like, oh, and that's where the structure comes in. But, it's a matter of like, allow yourself to be who you are. And it's okay to bring in people that, can plug the holes in the dam in terms of your skill set, because you can't be all things all the time.
In our world, we call that going from E to P, from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And there's this breakthrough, right? Because natural talent will take you so far, and that's your entrepreneurial, but then you hit the ceiling, right? And the breakthrough comes when we can be purposeful and have plan and systems and structures to go through. And it's going to feel also that P can stand for pain, right? Because it's going to be painful. It's a little unnatural to the entrepreneurial way, but that's how we get to our breakthrough and get to the next level.
Exactly.
And so I find that to be true with me.
It's so fascinating,
yes,
isn't it?
like all your tendencies of entrepreneurship will get you so far and you're going off natural talent, but then you do hit this wall. And it's like, well, I don't want to be that fly.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Go, boom, boom.
Yes.
It's, and I like to teach my coaching clients too, like what is it that do you want to work in the same role forever and ever, or do you want it to be scalable? Do you want it to be able to step away? If you have systems and structures, that's what it allows you to do, because it creates, you can duplicate certain things and you can, sell that package or franchise that idea or standardize that process so that you don't have to consistently be the one to deliver it. And then you get to go do more wild and crazy things.
Right.
So it will free you ultimately, which is ironic.
Yes. So are you originally from St. Pete?
I am not. I'm from Ohio.
From Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio
You said
area.
that. Yeah. And I saw you spent some time in Pennsylvania at Penn State. I'm originally from Pennsylvania.
There you go. I was born in Scranton, actually.
Okay, got it.
And then I went to Penn State World Campus for my master's, for both my master's, and then University of Cincinnati for my gifted endorsement.
Got it. So other than networking and being around all these amazing women of entrepreneurs, what else are you doing in St. Pete?
So many good things. So I am a coach also, and I am slowly working back into working with more parents and students, neurodivergent kids. I do a lot of consulting for 504 and IEP education plans and things like that. And then as a coach, I'm actually launching a program called the Radiant Reset, which is for women who we know better. We know we're supposed to take care of ourselves a certain way, but all of a sudden it just all flies out the window. So anybody that needs to take a deep breath, launch back into their best practices. And then I do one-on-one coaching and consulting. And part of that is really fun because they get access to my whole network. So I have a great time watching people build some incredible stuff. So I do that. And then I have my girls are here. My son lives in Salt Lake City. Okay. He's a rocket scientist. Literally, he's a rocket scientist. It's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
I know. I need a t-shirt. He actually has an interview. I don't want to jinx him, but with SpaceX coming up. So I'm so excited for him there. And then my daughters are 19, 14, and 8. And they live here on Snell Isle with me. So,
nice.
Yeah. So we just, I don't know. It's hot here. I can't get, like, y'all, I don't know. I'm just an Ohio girl at heart. The summer, I don't want to go outside. It's humid.
That's like no different than the winters up north.
But at least you have an excuse to be lazy up there because you can't leave the house. People here are running. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Go inside. Exactly.
I explained that to those up north. They're like, oh, it's so, I'm like, how's the heat? That's what people worry about. I'm like, when it's -1 out up north, are you going outside? No. When it's 100 here, I'm not going outside.
We're not going outside unless you're going in the pool. And
yes,
that's it.
Yeah. It's no different.
St. Pete is cool though. It has a spirit of its own that I think is.
How long have you been here?
Since 2018, I lived here 6 months at a Ronald McDonald House with my daughter for her health, and then I moved here in February of 2019.
Okay.
So what is that, like a little over 4 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've watched it transition a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what has been the coolest thing that you've seen happen with St. Pete?
I absolutely love the spirit of individuality in the artistic community here. I think it's really neat where there's just so many. I mean, all of these little places that just reflect the story of the owner, right? And I've gotten to be part of some things with the city, like working on a small business initiative and things. And it's just so interesting to me, the conglomeration of all those individual energies and how they're celebrated. So I really love that. The pier has been cool since it opened because it's not far from my house. I love that. And I just really like the inclusivity of the community. You know, it's unique. It really is.
That's a consistent theme that we talk about here is how strong the community is here in St. Pete. And I mean, you're a proof of that and have built your own conglomerate of a community within the community.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
People are so open to it. I'm like, would it be able to exist in other places? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think there's some part of it that because we're not all from here, that we can relate on that level, that we all intentionally came to this one spot,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and, rather than just being, you know, well, I was born here. It doesn't mean I really love it. It's like, no, we all chose this so we can celebrate it together.
For sure. I love it.
We also talked about that on here, that the access to water is a huge part of why can't you have to love it.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, all the water from Vinoy, you know, down the Gulfport all the way out to the beaches. We just have so much access to water, which, you know, we've lived near water for thousands of years, right? So
it's so nice to have. As a girl boss, there are perks. I have people that do different recreational things. Like I went out on a pontoon boat on Friday with one of my friends in PR, and I have a good friend. Her name's Christine Van Nuys, Wandering Adventures, fabulous, and she owns a kayaking company. And if she ever has seats open, she's like, "Do you guys want to come?" We're like, "Yeah." So we get to go all the time, and it's amazing. Yeah, just the spirit of it is so different from the seasons, you know. And I'm not far from North Shore Park.
Nice.
I can ride my bike up there and just watch the sun come up.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I'm spoiled.
The sunrise out there is just fantastic.
My favorite beach, though, I think is North Lido, on the side that's closest to like Kilwins and stuff on St. Armand Circle, because it's quieter than the Lido beach over by the pool. And the sand is really white, and there's parking that's nearby, and I love it. And there's a sandbar too, so it's like you can just chill.
Got that little gem of a spot.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love that little spot.
Nice, nice. What's one of your favorite spots to eat?
Bodega.
Bodega.
I love Bodega.
I was just there yesterday.
The Cubans are so good. They're so good. I love Bodega. My favorite coffee. I really love the Chelsea. If you've not been, have you been to the Chelsea?
I have not been.
Oh, it's such a cute little place. It's wonderful. It's adorable, and I love Teresa. Her name is the owner, or Teresa. Sorry. She. It's such a cool, eclectic decor, and she's like a mom. Like she just wants people to come there and enjoy and have fun. It's such a neat place. I love their coffee. Obviously 7C music. They're fabulous too. So I've been looking at the menu for Urban Stillhouse because the interior the architectural designer that did that place is a girl boss. Her name is Brittany Stevenson.
Nice.
Same design house. And that place looks amazing. Have you been?
I haven't, but I lose tie with the owners there a little bit. Yeah.
Bourbon.
Yeah, I know.
Like sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and a lot of people have talked highly of that place. You know, this is a question I ask everyone.
Oh yeah. No, Bodega's delicious.
Yeah.
I love Good Intentions is really cool. I went there with my friend Adrian, who does social media, Social Dragonflies. That place is really cool. I like the variety of. My brother is a holistic doctor up north. And when he comes down, he's really cool. When he comes down, though, it's nice that there's a variety of places I can take him because he's vegan, you know, actual restaurants and stuff that have food that, you know, my kids will also eat. So,
have you been to Seoul yet?
I've not. Do I need to go?
You need to go.
Okay, man.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just had Debbie and Ron on, I think a couple weeks ago. Their episode hasn't come out yet, but their place is fantastic.
Awesome.
And it's allergy friendly out the wazoo because Debbie is allergic to everything. So their
Yes.
menu is just very clean, fresh. It's fantastic.
Yes,
so
I'm so in.
yeah,
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I'm trying to. There's probably other places, but I have a taste for Bodega today, so they would. That's what I really want.
Right. You know, I get that. Yeah. No, it's neat to see how close the small business community is here in St. Pete. I think that's you know, it keeps it so special that there is so many small businesses and they all support each other.
That's
and you have
amazing.
Communities like yours and everything that you guys
We go to each other's grand openings.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fantastic.
really
I mean, it's
fun.
really you know, because that's the hardest thing is like, you know, your son being a rocket scientist, getting the rocket off the ground, getting the business off the ground, right? Once you get the altitude, then you're cruising, right?
Exactly.
And so to have a strong community that will come out and support you to get off the ground is super, super important.
I agree.
And so you've created that.
I try.
Yeah.
Every day we do.
Did you have any idea that it would grow this quickly?
No. Oh my gosh, not at all. And so the foundation was not in place for it to be a functional business. So there was a lot of backtracking and being like, okay, if this is going to be my full-time job, I obviously need to get paid. So what are we going to do? So a lot of, we started charging for the workshops and things, and we introduced last year a paid membership, which we're now really taking a good look at after a year and saying what's benefiting people, and then looking at also adding an elite tier where it's just the high level 6 and 7 figure members to do masterminds and stuff together. So we provide up level services that feature people in the directory because we have, some contacts with the Department of Economics for Pinellas County. So we provide referrals and things. So they get to be listed there. They get to promote. They get to teach workshops. So we have that extra tier, but it's also an accessible community for people that just want to come in, and it's free because you don't earn anything when you first start your business.
Right. What's the biggest struggle you would say that if there's a theme of
I would say the hardest part for me is maintaining personal connections as the group grows, because that's super, super important for me. I like to know everybody that's in there, what they do, and so do Kimberly and Taylor. So we try to divide and conquer and talk amongst ourselves. But I think part of what made it so special at the beginning, when it was a few hundred members, is that level of connection. So luckily, as a teacher, there's different strategies and things that we can do when we are at coffee meetings, but it's still, there's so much information coming through. Keeping it from being impersonal is tricky.
Yeah, that's really hard. I mean, that many people and new people coming through all the time. I mean, it's something I try to be so intentional about, but remembering people's names. I mean, I meet so many people every week, and it's like I know, like the recall just sometimes is not there.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
and it will come to you 5 seconds later.
That's you. I usually remember what they do first from looking at their Facebook profile photo. So many people don't look like their profile photo because it's old or it's something else, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
But as a teacher, I had to remember. I made it my goal by the end of the first day to have most of the names remembered, and by the second day, everybody. And there are some 7th grade girls and boys that look very similar when you've not met them before, so it's tricky. But so you just start to put like little mnemonic devices in place and remember little things. I like to ask people like quirky things about themselves, like
so you can attach something to
exactly. And I have no filter most of the time, so I just ask all kinds of. I'm not great at small talk, I admit it.
Yeah.
But then people start to dump out their deepest secrets, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're the one that whatever.
Right.
So that's always a good way to, and they remember you too because they feel seen because you begin to sort of dig out a little bit of
Well, the surface level is never fun.
No.
It's never fun.
It's not authentic.
No. Mm-hmm. And so to dive deep, pull the curtain back and get
always.
through. Yeah.
Like, so how's your business? Do you like it? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Like,
that's that question there. Yeah.
Why did you choose to do what you do? Like, people are like, who are you?
Yeah, right. What's your why? What? Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that's another thing, right? Oh my gosh, we talked about that today as well with your why. Love Simon Sinek.
Yep.
But so many people think their why should like be this and make them cry. I like to call it like, what's your North Star? But you may have little teeny whys along the way, Yeah.
I had one of those conversations yesterday with someone that was just all over, and there was no why. And it's like, well, we got to figure that out. Like that's your core. That's why are you doing anything?
Exactly.
If you don't have that figured out, and it's amazing to me, and I think that's so important when in any business, because you have to have that thing on the tough days to go back to push you through.
Yeah, like what is your purpose, if nothing else?
Yeah.
There's a great coach in our group. Her name is Denise Marsh. She's actually partnering with Celebrity Cruises to do some stuff for her book. And she walked us through a little bit of that today. And it was like, when you struggle with that, it's, what is it I want to do in the world? And who do I want to do this for? Who is it not for? And what do I want my impact to be? And sometimes, especially in service-based business, really looking at that, and you can serve that need in a lot of different ways. So then the next question is, well, how can I do that best? So like as a real estate agent, obviously there's so much more to it, that, you match people up with their needs. They get to know their community. Like there's a level of trust that has to be built. It just goes far beyond just like,
oh yeah,
here's your keys, but you can implement that same skill set in so many different ways, but you've chosen to do it this way. So it's very interesting if you understand your North Star, it's never then about the paycheck or the particular way you're doing that business. It's that mission. So if yours is just you love your community, you love people, once you decide to leave real estate, you've got a billion other options.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't become about the cash or whatever anymore.
No, I don't think that's some people think that's their factor, but I don't think it's strong enough just to make money.
No. And it's not, I don't know. It's not, there's some days where you just are like, screw it. Like, I don't want this anymore. I want what keeps you engaged. I mean, it has to be about, some people struggle with like, I don't have a passion. And it's like, well, what do you like? What do you want to do? Like, there's so many things. I think we limit ourselves because we should on ourselves. I should be doing something that's a little more this or a little more that, or I should be doing something. But
the shoulds, yeah.
Yeah, you should all over yourself.
Yeah, you should.
But I think it's important that we tell people, like, you can literally make a business out of anything. Picking up dog poop, for example. It's freaking genius.
Yeah.
But she likes dogs and she likes being outside, and nobody else wants to do it. It's a brilliant idea.
It is brilliant. It is brilliant.
I make friends for a living. Like,
yeah, Yeah,
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's
Yeah,
so good.
you gotta like people.
I do like people. Yeah, for sure.
Not everyone does.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I like to get into them and really help. I love helping people. Like I'm a problem solver. And so I've learned to ask for my therapist if people want feedback because I'm like, oh, jump in and save everyone. Maybe that's a throwback to codependency, but it works well for me. But it's really a very, so are you into human design at all? I would totally do your chart. Have you ever had it done before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh,
So there is an aspect of human design. It's kind of like astrology mixed with quantum physics mixed with I Ching, right? So there's something called your incarnation cross that kind of gives you like your life theme. And even if you're not in anything woo, it's a fascinating
keep going.
system.
That's good.
So my incarnation cross is the left angle cross of the phoenix. And essentially what I do is I open doors and show people possibilities, and then they can step through or not. So that manifests for me in a lot of different ways by saying, okay, what is it that you love? Oh, that's great. Here's 6 people I know. Here's an idea. You could do it this way or that way. And then people can choose. So sort of laying out a menu of their options, understanding their values and the way that they operate in the world, their energy levels, those kinds of things. So everybody has that, right? They all have that theme. So you can play around with it as you wish and guide people those places. You should get your human design chart read. Now I really need your birth information.
Your human design chart. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Okay.
There are 2 girl bosses I know that are way better at this than me, but I use it with my clients and know enough that I could guide you.
Yeah.
And it's really, really neat. Yeah. Shakti Rios is amazing. Danielle Laura is amazing. They do it professionally. But as part of my coaching package, I try to pull it and then talk with people about, what if this resonates with you, and then allow people to sort of hang their hat on it. It's just another way to understand yourself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's when you dive into those, any type of personality assessment, when it aligns and gets it, you're like, whoa.
Right. Like, oh, no kidding.
You learn more about yourself.
Mm-hmm. But it removes the shoulds from you is the point, right? So if you understand that you're a creative person, but your energy is going to ebb and flow, and you understand that about yourself, you're not going to push yourself to burn out through that mechanism. It just it almost gives you like, I don't want to say an excuse, but you can tell yourself a different story about your own possibilities.
Yes. My sister has a line that sticks with me all the time. It's just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I taught middle school yes. I had a kid lick another kid once on the side of the face. Like, it's just the stuff you're like, why am I? Okay. Yeah.
Right. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah,
No.
right.
But conversely, sometimes you should stop doing this thing because people expect you to, because that's utter recipe for misery.
Yes.
I get sad when I see people that way.
I know.
That poor fly.
Yeah, don't be the fly that dies on the windowsill.
It's so sad.
No, that theme is, that little blurb, I read that to all the agents in my office a couple weeks ago, and it's just been a theme it's such an easy analogy to go through, because as we're going through life and we're trying to get to the next level, I think that's a purpose in and of itself, and always trying to get better. That's my thing. James Clear, Atomic Habits, 1% better every day. And if you're not, what are you doing?
Exactly. Complacency is like, to me, is just sort of the end. You just kind of gave up. Like, it's cool to sit on your haunches if you need a rest, but like the evolution, it's literally why we're here as human beings. If you believe in anything greater than yourself, that's the piece. Like, it's about growth and evolution, because that's what's going to open the next door for you.
Yeah,
this person is not going to,
right. Yeah, I don't want to live in Groundhog's Day.
No, it's a great movie though.
Yeah, it is a great movie.
I do love Bill Murray.
Yeah,
I heard he ate somebody's fries at a restaurant once, and then looked at him and was like, "Nobody's going to believe you." I want to be that famous. Yes, I love it. It's a good movie. But you're right. No, it's again like The Fly. I think though, one of the things, back to the fly analogy, you need to understand like where to look for signs that you need to turn around, like who's going to show you where you need to go. Because I think for some people, like that fly has no concept of door or window, right? So if you're still in that place where your world is this big, you need to lean into expander so you understand that there is a door and I can go through it. Otherwise...
Just to look for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just to know it exists,
right?
And that's why I think networking is so powerful that way, because those conversations just open you up to new ideas and especially when people are different from you, And if you can handle that without being triggered, then new perspectives on your business are absolutely life changing.
Big time, because we're all limited by our beliefs.
Exactly, limiting beliefs.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes. Yes.
So many with their stories, with scarcity, with, what they were told, and we don't even realize it. It's just stuff that we just run on. You ever listen to Bruce Lipton?
No.
So he's a scientist and he has stuff on YouTube, but he talks about his analogy for limiting beliefs is essentially kind of like Joe Dispenza, right? So there's this software. If you're born as a blank computer, there's software that downloads between 0 and 7, and you're gonna it continuously is what you run on and go back to unless you make a conscious effort to reinstall that. So if your relationship with money or what you witnessed, for example, from 0 to 7 was scarcity, poor, whatever, when you're not consciously paying attention to that pattern and changing it, you'll launch back into it. So it's kind of like when you're driving, if we were driving together somewhere and we're talking, we get there and I'm like, oh my God, how did we even get here? You just go back to what is programmed. So unless you bring those patterns out and take a look at them and say, why is this happening? I need to change that. You will just continuously go back to your programming without
Back
even
to your
realizing
default.
it. Oh, it's your default mode. So if you find yourself meeting the same person with a different face, or you make tons of money and then you're poor again, and it's this cycle, that's always what it is. It's like let's take that back a little bit. And there's so many things you could do therapeutically. Accelerated resolution therapy, just so many things you can do from a therapeutic and energetic perspective that can unblock that. But the key is always seeing the pattern. So that's again comes back into those conversations and going, they don't do that. They don't make $10,000 and have nothing the next month. Why do I do that?
Right.
And then getting curious about it, without feeling like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's all about
Just
curiosity.
witnessing.
Yeah. And compassionately witnessing your process.
Yes. Yes. So what's next for St. Pete Girl Boss?
Well, we have a relaunch of our upgrade membership. And then we are eventually, probably next year at some point, looking at other chapters and just to see if we can duplicate the process. But we are very mindful about making sure we have systems in place because it's not going to be possible to duplicate us. So if we have systems that can duplicate that culture,
Let's say what happens when you get to 10,000.
Oh, I don't know, a party? I love a party. Let's have a party. Let's do it. Right now, we have affinity groups actually coming up too. We have an affinity group for women of color called Black Girl Boss. They meet on the first Tuesday of the month so that our women of color that have a completely different experience in business have access to each other in a safe space to have those conversations. Then we'll be moving it to LGBTQIA affinity group and, kind of looking at the veterans and things. And then, I want there to be, we have partnerships with, Working Women of Tampa Bay. They're her founders in our group. Empowerment is a fabulous organization, the founders in our group. And I love the idea of just having like a super group of just all of these women that can positively impact just the whole region. And so looking at ways that we can partner up and make some shenanigans.
I like it. I like it.
Good stuff.
I like it.
And a party.
And a party.
Also.
Don't forget about the party.
Of course.
Yeah, you're going to need a big venue.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you what. Nova is one of my favorites, but
We have our holiday party at Nova.
I love Nova.
Yeah.
Michael's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place.
It's been plenty of space.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
got
they have
indoor,
that loft
outdoor.
so you can
Yeah,
like jam up
right,
there.
yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's
Clean
good.
bathrooms, bar. What more do you want?
Yeah, but everything you need.
I'm in. We might actually start meeting there on Friday mornings because he's going to hook us up a little bit and get us give us a little deal because it's a great space. And I didn't know that whole parking lot across the street is theirs.
Yes.
I've been street parking for
Oh,
years.
rookie
know.
mistake.
Seriously, you need a handbook. It's like they need one for Trader Joe's.
Right.
Like you don't
Yes.
drive this way. I need that. You need to write that.
We need to write the handbook.
Little known secrets.
The
of
little known secrets of St. Pete.
parking, chapter 1.
Yeah. Love that because that is a thing.
I got a boot on my car.
Which
here.
that's before we wrap it up. What do you feel like St. Pete is missing?
I'm trying to think. Cohesiveness in a way, because there is a significant stratification, economic stratification, that I think is unfortunate because we have a rich cultural group of individuals that have lived here for a very long time. And they aren't all the individuals of color, but I would say, just from my experience on the South Side and the businesses I support, that's what I see. So I would love to find ways that we're investing in the community that currently exists rather than gentrifying everything and being like, we should charge $500,000 for this, studio apartment. So I think that there needs to be more conversation between the people that are responsible for all of that beautiful growth that put us here and the people who are coming in to take advantage of that. A friend of mine who is an artist, Derek Donnelly, he laments that a little bit because it was very like punk rock, like lots of music, lots of art. And, as we gentrify, we lose a little bit of that soul. And so I think that there just needs, and I feel like the mayor does a good job now trying to balance all of that. And he's great. And his wife is a girl boss, by the way. I think just making sure that those conversations continue so that the soul of St. Pete isn't lost as people come in and,
Right.
and invest in stuff. I think that is something that I think.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big one.
Also, there's not a lot of places to buy clothing for teenage girls, so there's that.
Okay, that's something that yeah, that's
We have a couple. I have a few, but yeah, and everything closes at 6 o'clock. So for
wow,
people that
stuff,
don't plan ahead,
right?
I have
Yeah,
ADHD.
see,
for
come
crying
on,
out
it's
loud.
all last minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to be open till 11 p.m. What if someone needs pants? You know?
Oh, that's great. That's great. For those that made it this far, what
Yes.
should they comment below? What word?
I would love to hear what is their purpose word, their why
The
for what
purpose
they
word.
do. Yeah, why do
One
they do
word
what they do?
that is your purpose.
What's your purpose? Like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to put out in the world? I love that.
What's yours?
Love.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I'm the connection queen for a reason. Like, I want to connect people to themselves, and then I think connecting to each other, we grow beyond our limitations when we're connected to other people. What about yours?
Abundance.
Abundance. I like that. I like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
In terms of like, I really like helping, just like on people unlocking the next level in their mind, helping them get out of their own way.
Yeah. It's
And
so
when you see that
interesting.
light bulb come on, it's
Isn't it amazing? As a
Right.
teacher, I love that. You know, and as we wrap up, I had a friend, one of the girls, Ashley Abramson, told me, because I was like, this coaching program is just not making enough money. She goes, Bean, look around you. You are so abundant. There's like 200 people here and they weren't here before. Like, you made this. The universe doesn't know what money is. You have to be more specific if that's what you want, but just understand that like abundance comes into you in so many different places. Like, you can be abundant and not have a dollar in your bank account and still feel that.
yes.
So I love that word because it transcends.
Love's not
yeah.
attached to money.
Exactly. It's not, which, is unfortunate because mama needs some shoes and things.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Got plenty of love.
The interesting thing too is if you follow your passion and people feel you, then the money just follows.
Right.
You know?
It'll all work out.
Exactly.
It will all work out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, Sandy, it's been a pleasure.
I love chatting with you.
Yes. Thank
Anytime
you.
you want to geek out on all the books and things, I'm here for you.
I feel like this could go on for hours and hours and hours. However, you talking about bodega and all the spots, I'm starving.
I'm going there.
Yeah, so the brain's shutting down. But for those of you that have made it this far, comment your word of your purpose. We have love and abundance, whatever it means to you. Thank you for watching and making it this far, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, cool.
Did we get our picture beforehand? I don't even remember.
No, we did not.
Yeah, so we normally take a picture sitting here.